Chasing a metallic object through the time vortex, the Ninth Doctor and his companion, Rose Tyler, arrive in London during the Blitz. Rose meets Captain Jack Harkness, the dashing time agent responsible for bringing the object. Doctor finds a group of homeless children terrorized by Jamie, an empty child wearing a gas mask. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? This is Enigmatic Joker on the Random Entertainment channel. Sci-Fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, the best sci-fi series ever. Today we have a ninth Doctor story called The Empty Child. So, The Empty Child was the ninth episode of Series 1 of Doctor Who. It was the first part of a two-part story and writer Stephen Moffat's first episode of Doctor Who. Furthermore, it introduced Captain Jack Harkness into the Doctor Who universe. The idea of alien interference during the Second World War would be revisited later in the 11th Doctor story, Victory of the Daleks. That's with Matt Smith. It's the first of the revived series to have a child being responsible for the bizarre goings on in the episode, due to the gaining some kind of extraterrestrial powers. This pattern would be repeated in future stories such as Fear Her and Night Terrors. As usual, we will now dive into the plots, and if you haven't watched this episode yet, I highly recommend you to do that. You can decide to tune in then later. So, if you are ready, I'm ready to dive into the plot. Let's go. The Doctor Stardust chases a metal cylinder displaying Moth Alert, which prompts Rose to ask why they are chasing it. The Ninth Doctor explains that Moth is the universally recognized color for danger, and that red's camp. Only humans considered red a color for danger. Doctor hacks into the flight program of the cylinder and keeps the TARDIS locked on it. However, the cylinder begins jumping time tracks. Coming out of the vortex, they find the cylinder is 30 seconds from the center of London. The TARDIS materializes in a narrow alley between some brick buildings at night. The Doctor and Rose step out in search of the object. The Doctor notes they have arrived a couple of weeks to a month after the cylinder's impact. It was jumping time tracks, which made it hard to keep up. He hears music coming from behind a locked door and uses a sonic screwdriver to open it. He steps inside, but Rose hears a child calling for his mother. She looks up and sees a young boy wearing a gas mask on the roof. The door the Doctor enters leads to a makeshift cabaret. After the singer ends her set, the Doctor steps up to the microphone and asks if any object has fallen from the sky in the last few days. Everyone laughs, and the Doctor finally spots posters showing that it's 1941, the middle of the Blitz, and closes his eyes in embarrassment. In the meantime, Rose has reached the roof of the building where the young boy is standing on a cargo container. A rope dangles in front of her. She uses it to climb up, not realizing that it's attached to a buried balloon above. It rises, taking Rose with it, clean off the roof and hanging on for dear life. Rose sees bits of the city of London in flames, spotlights sweeping through the sky, the sound of anti-aircraft fire, and bombers flying right at her. The Doctor returns to the TARDIS and sees no sign of Rose. Petting a stray cat, He rather sarcastically remarks that one day he'll get a companion that actually does what he says. He pulls up short when the exterior telephone of the TARDIS rings. It's not a real phone. He prepares to examine it with a sonic screwdriver when a young woman appears and tells him not to answer it. Doctor asks her how the telephone can be ringing, but when he turns back, she has disappeared. He picks up the earpiece, but all that comes through is a child's voice asking, Mommy? Are you my mommy? Several times before the phone falls dead again. Hearing cluttering down the alley, the doctor looks over a wall into a residential garden and sees a woman ushering her family into an air raid shelter. He also spots the young woman he saw moments before entering the house. Once inside, she begins to raid the cupboards for tinned food. Rose is still hanging by a rope over blazing London. From a balcony below, a man dressed in RAF uniform peers through binoculars up at her. A British Army officer addresses him as Jack and asks if he is going to the shelter, but Jack is distracted by the sight of Rose Bottoms, Rose Bottom in his side. Jack mutters, excellent bottom, and grins at the officer before saying that he has to meet a girl. But you've got an excellent bottom too. Rose loses her grip on the rope and falls, screaming, until she finds her descent halted by a blue beam. Jack's voice tells her to deactivate her mobile phone to keep her limbs inside the light field as she slides rapidly down the beam into Jack's ship in his arms. Rose stares at the handsome Jack and gets out a couple of hellos before she faints. Back at the house, the young woman has been joined by other children. They start to eat the dinner left on the table. The doctor appears suddenly and deduces that all of them are homeless, but notes that, as it is 1941, they should have been evacuated to the country long ago. The children say that they were, but they returned to London for various reasons. Nancy, the young woman who told him not to answer the phone earlier, finds them food this way, waiting for families to hide in shelters before stealing their food. The doctor thinks it's a great idea, but isn't sure if it's Marxism in action or a West End musical. The doctor asks his children if they have seen the cylinder, drawing them a picture, but before any can answer, there is knocking on the window, accompanied by a child's voice asking for its mother. Outside is a child in a gas mask. He wanders over to the front door, repeating his query. Nancy hurriedly bolts the door before he can get in. Nancy tells the doctor that he is not exactly a child, and then orders the other children to leave via the back entrance. The child sticks his arm through the mail slot. He has a strange scar on his hand. Nancy tells the doctor not to let the child touch him, or he will become just like him, empty. Telephone on the mantelpiece rings. When the doctor picks it up to hear the same plaintive request for its mother. Nancy grabs the receiver and hangs up. The child has the ability to make telephone calls. The doctor asks the child through the door why the other children are frightened of him, but he keeps asking to be let in, saying he is scared of the bombs. Doctor agrees to open the door, but when he does, the street is empty. Rose wakes up in Jack's ship, which she says is very Spock, a reference he does not understand. He introduces himself as Captain Jack Harkness, an American volunteer with number 133 Squadron RAF. He hands her an identification card, which Rose identifies as psychic paper. It shows her whatever he wants her to see. It is apparently that he is single and works out. To Rose's embarrassment, when she hands the paper back, Jack reads it as showing that her host has a boyfriend but considers herself very available. Jack uses Chip's nanogenes to treat Rose's hand for road burns. He also tells her to stop acting. He can spot a time agent a mile away and has been expecting one to turn up. Jack invites her for a drink on the balcony, opening the hatch. They step out on the invisible hull of the ship, floating next to Big Ben. Nancy makes her way across an abandoned rail yard to a locomotive, where she unloads the things she took from the house. The doctor surprises her again, having followed her. He has made the connection between the fallen cylinder and the empty child. Nancy tells him about a bomb that was not a bomb, falling near the Limehouse Green Station. It is now guarded by soldiers and barbed wire. Nancy says that if he wants to find out what is going on, he needs to talk to the doctor. On top of his ship, Jack and Rose continue to flirt. He tells her that he has something the time agency might want to buy and asks her if she is empowered to negotiate. Rose plays along, saying that she should talk to her companion first. Jack tells her that what fell on London was a fully equipped tuna warship, the last of its kind, and offers to get it for her if the agency names the right price. However, the deadline for decision is in 2 hours, because that is when a German bomb will fall and destroy it. He proceeds to look for her companion by scanning for alien technology. Rose gives an approving smile. The doctor had earlier refused to do just that. The doctor uses his own binoculars to monitor the cylinder's crash site from afar with Nancy. She encourages him to go speak to the doctor at nearby Albion Hospital. Doctor. The doctor remarks that Nancy is looking after the children to make up for something, and she admits that it is because her brother Jamie died during an air raid. In the wards, the doctor finds the beds apparently filled with corpses wearing gas masks. An elderly man in the doctor's coat appears. He tells the doctor that there are hundreds of masked people in the hospital. Dr. Constantine invites the doctor to examine them, warning him not to touch their flesh. The doctor finds that, impossibly, all of them have the exact same injuries to the skull and chest cavity. The gas masks are also seemingly fused to their flesh, although there are no burns or scarring. They also have lightning-shaped scars on the backs of their heads. Constantine has the same scar, but the doctor does not notice. Constantine explains that when the bomb dropped, it claimed one victim. Those in contact with the victim soon suffered the exact same injuries, the symptoms spreading like a plague. After the doctor guesses unsuccessfully what the cause of death was, he asks Constantine for the answer. Constantine tells that there wasn't one. They are not dead. When he wraps his cane against an empty pail, the corpses come to life, sitting up in their beds. The doctor takes a startled step back, but Constantine tells him they are harmless. They just sit there. They have no life signs, but they do not die. The doctor is shocked that the patients have just been abandoned with nobody doing anything about it. All Constantine can do is keep them comfortable. Constantine states that before the war, he was a father and a grandfather. Now he's neither, but still a doctor. The doctor, having seen through a similar experience, tells Constantine he knows the feeling. Constantine suspects that the army plans to blow up the hospital and blame it on a German bomb. But the doctor suspects that it is probably too late for such an act to make a difference. Constantine agrees, stating that there are no isolated cases breaking out all over London. Suddenly, he enters a coughing fit. When the doctor moves to help him, Constantine tells him to keep back. He directs the doctor to room 802, on the top floor of the hospital, where the first victim from the crash site was housed. He also advises the doctor to find Nancy again. The first victim was her brother, and she knows more than she is saying. but she has refused to tell Constantine anything. Before Constantine can say anything else, he grabs his neck and starts to choke out the words, "Are you my mummy?" The doctor watches aghast as Constantine's features shift and change into a ghost mask and slumps in his chair, as lifeless as the rest of the plague victims. Rose and Jack enter the hospital. Jack introduces himself to the doctor, calling him Mr. Spock, to the doctor's puzzlement. Rose privately tells the doctor that she had to tell Jack they were time agents and give him a false name. She tells the doctor about the Chula warship. The doctor demands to know from Jack what kind of warship it is, but Jack insists that it has nothing to do with the plague. Jack confesses that the cylinder was just an ambulance, an empty shell which he was trying to pass off as a valuable. Jack realizes now that Rose and the doctor are not really time agents. The doctor explains that human DNA is being rewritten by an idiot. But for what purpose? Back at the house, Nancy has returned to raid the kitchens, but a child gets inside. She does her best to hide, but the child eventually finds her in the dining room and asks her, "Are you my mommy?" Nancy backs away, calling the child Jamie and pleading, "But you're dead." In the hospital, the gas mask carriers suddenly get up and start advancing on the trio of train travelers, all calling for Mummy! And that, my friends, is the cliffhanger for the next episode of this two-part story. But that's for another live stream. So, my name is cast members. Doctor Who, the Ninth Doctor is played by Christopher Eccleston. Rose Tyler is played by Billy Piper. The nightclub singer is played by Kate Harvey, and the child is played by Albert Valentine. Nancy is played by Florence Oath, and Mrs. Lloyd is played by Cheryl Ferguson. Mr. Lloyd is played by Damien Samuels, and Jack Harkness is played by John Barrowman. Augie is played by Robert Hans, and Jim is played by Joseph Tremaine. Ernie is played by Jordan Murphy, and Elf is played by Brendan Miller. Dr. Constantine is played by Richard Wilson, and the voice of the child is voiced by Noah Johnson. And the computer voice is voiced by Dean Perry. Some world building. Few topics. Theories and concepts. The Doctor uses the word camp, and Jack Harkness uses his ship's computer to forecast Rose Tyler's descent pattern as she's falling. Topic: professions. One of the kids thinks the Doctor is a copper. Topic: individuals. Rose wears a Union Jack t-shirt, and the Doctor states that if he was Hitler, he would be scared of Britain. Third, the Doctor's jacket matches the style worn by U-boat captains. Fourth is Rose uses the word flesh as slang. And fifth, the Rose tells Jack that the Doctor's name is Spock. Topic: mammals is that three things the Doctor says about milk. Of all the species in all the universe, it has to come out of a cow. Second, the Doctor talks to a cat about his companions wandering off. Third, the Doctor describes the United Kingdom standing up and fighting against Germany as a mouse in front of a lion. Topic: food and beverages. The children eat turkey inside a home during the air raid. And second, Jack and Rose drink champagne. I hope it's a good one. Topic: music. My favorite topic. Moonlight Serenade and In the Mood by Glenn Miller are heard. That is, big band time, eh? The 40s. Jamie makes Ain't Nobody Here But Us Chickens play on the radio. The Doctor then references the song name to Jamie, soon correcting himself at this chicken when he realizes the songs stop playing and everybody else has left. A third thing is that the Doctor comparing Nancy's actions to a West End musical is a reference to Oliver. And the last topic is the psychic paper. That is, the Doctor's psychic paper says that he is Dr. John Smith from the Ministry of Asteroids when Rose reads it. Then some story notes. This story introduces John Barrowman as Jack Harkness. Although slated to become a companion, Barrowman's name is not added to the opening credits. The notion of adding a third name to reflect an expanded roster would not be introduced until Barrowman's return to the series 2 years later in Utopia. The thing is that this episode had the working title World War II. Early versions of this script quoted this episode title as being an empty child. This is a reference to an unearthly child, the first story on screen. The episode's television listings, information, and DVD cover also mentioned that London has been terrorized by an unearthly child. Um, And in Russell T Davies' initial pitch, Captain Jack was originally called Captain Jax, an interstellar alien soldier who befriends a doctor but intimidates Rose. He was to be tracking an escaped child creature. The story antagonist while posing as an English officer. The name Jax was eventually dropped and was Jack's original characterization, instead being a human conman from the 51st century. Stephen Moffat suggested making Jack a human from the future rather than an alien to avoid having too many extraterrestrials present in 1941 London. Um, okay, this enough for what the story notes. Um, some continuity. Um, because I'll explain it again. I explain it again and again. In every live stream continuity, uh, stories and episodes in the Doctor Who universe are in to some extent related or linked or referenced to each other. Every time it's also an interpretation of things. And every time when I rewatch stories and episodes, I discover new things. But for this, I have new continuity, a few points. That is, Jack is a time agent. Um, there's a link to the TV episode Talents op Wenxiang, Kiss Kiss Bang 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 Bang. That's it's a Torchwood episode. The door opens as Levin's doctor with Matt Smith. And we have pros either eater of wasps, trading futures, and human nature. By the way, the talents. Wen Chiang is a fourth Doctor story. Other thing is that Jack will later return to an earlier point in World War II and meet the real Jack Harkness. You see it in TV episode Captain Jack Harkness. That's also a Torchwood episode in series 1 of Torchwood. Third thing is that Chula ambulance jumps time tracks. That is in TV story the Space Museum. That's in the classic era. Um, in fact, that is in the first Doctor story with Royal Hartnell. A third thing is that Albion Hospital becomes involved in another incident when, in 2006, the alien body found in a spaceship that crashed into the Thames is taken there for study. See that in the TV story Aliens of London. That's also with the Ninth Doctor. A fifth thing is that according to Gwen Cooper's police colleague Yvonne, a detailed search of UK records revealed that Captain Jack Harkness failed to report for duty on 23rd in January of 1941. That is in the TV story Everything Changes in Torchwood. Story in Torchwood. Yes, very much links to Torchwood and reference already a sort of for foreshadowing. And because after the series one, we had 10 Doctor, and then there was an introduction and I'll explain some explanation for Torchwood. Also foundational work for Torchwood, and there are some links. So a sixth thing is that the 10th Doctor quips, are you my mommy? When given a gas mask to wear, is it in the Poison Sky, as does the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, when he sees the mummy like foretold. The mummy is in the story The Mummy on the Orient Express. That's with Clara. The seventh thing is that the Doctor relates to Constantine's statement that he was once a father and a grandfather, but is still a Doctor despite being neither now. In doing so, the Doctor indirectly references his own granddaughter, Susan. It's in TV story An Earthly Child, first on-screen story, et al. Further. So the Doctor would later offhandedly tell Rose that he used to be a dad. That is the story Fear Her. With the 10th Doctor. During his first incarnation, the Doctor and Susan also visited London during the Blitz in 1941. That is in an audio story, The Organists. Another thing is that while Rose hands Jack the psychic paper, it says he has a sort of boyfriend, but that she considers herself to be available, alluding to the stress on her and Mickey's relationship traveling with the Doctor has caused. That's in the TV stories Rose, Aliens of London, and World War III. The topic is revisited in Boomtown. Another thing is that in his sixth incarnation, that's what Colin Baker, the Doctor met a future version of Jack who had been abandoned by the Ninth Doctor. At the end of their premature encounter, the Doctor assured Jack that he would edit his memory, and indeed, the Ninth Doctor seemingly fails to recognize the younger Jack here. We see it in audio story Peace of Mind. A last thing in continuity is that the Doctor dismisses the idea of using an alien technology scanner. However, he uses one much later in The Woman Who Lived. That's a 12th Doctor story featuring me and Clara. So, and then, my friends and fellow companions, is the story The Empty Child. Yeah. And the continuation of the story is The Doctor Dances, but I'll do for another time. So, you can put your comments on this video. You can contact me to place a comment under this video, or you can go to my Discord server. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tag Doctor Who. You find me very quick because I've done the server regularly, and you can send me there via you could send me a private personal message, and you can contact me. And yeah, of course, you can go for a good chat, and you can also um, yeah, ask your questions. In fact, um, if you want to go, if you want to join me in a live stream or a panel, feel free also to contact me. If you want, yeah, you can actually contact me for that. And if you want to invite me to your channel, to your live stream, feel free also to contact me. So that's it for today. I hope you have a nice day. And so cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me. And for now, bye bye. Bye bye.